Is it just me, or does the audio, like the track, kind of change rhythm at the end there? Am I the only one who noticed that?
I can't tell because I always have the two streams going at the same time.
Okay. Yeah, so most of the time is playing that steady rhythm, and then like in the last 4 or 5 seconds, it sounds to me like it changes and just goes to like this offbeat thing, and it bothers me.
Yeah.
It bothers the musician in me. Anyways, welcome everybody to a special episode, a behind-the-scenes episode of Deranged and Questing. Tonight we are without our stalwart dungeon master, Greg. He is off. I posted on Twitter that he's recovering from a bout of goblin itch. We'll see how he feels when he recovers, whether it leaves, the usual side effects or not. But tonight we are joined by the awesome Ser Doran himself, human cleric.
Me.
We're going to call him Tony just because
Tonight.
that might be his real life name or not.
Yeah.
It could be something else. And of course, Jin the Rogue herself.
And the actual rogue.
That is Jin the Rogue there.
Yes, this is Jin the Rogue. I just pretend to be her.
Looks delicious.
Very, very cool. Well, thank you so much, Jim and Steven, for being the first ones to join us on our Twitch chat, our first official live episode streaming exclusively to Twitch. Very exciting. It's going to be interesting to see how we figure out this new platform. Whenever we go and learn something new, social media, it's a little complicated, so there are going to be some hiccups here. Hopefully you guys bear with us as we figure it out. One of the big changes that you viewers need to know about is the addition of ads. Now, Twitch earns its revenue from ads that show up in the stream. So at random points throughout the night, there would be ads showing. Now, we're going to try to make it as seamless an experience as possible. So incorporating them into our stream, into our conversation. And of course, we are going to find a way to gamify these ads because we want you to have fun and enjoy this game. So we're figuring it out. There's a couple of options kicking around. We can talk about them a little bit later. Things that we can do to actually make these ads something that you look forward to as part of the Deranged and Questing experience. But tonight we are talking a little bit about our characters. So you know what? I've got a question directed right at Ser Doran.
All right.
Ser Doran, I've wanted to know since the beginning, why is your cleric's backstory involving him embezzling? Like why embezzling specifically?
Well, why embezzling specifically? Well,
Yeah.
I always kind of play, if I play like a cleric or something like that, it's always kind of fighting against the establishment because it's not that fun to just be like a goody two-shoe and just follow.
You don't want to be a stick in the mud.
Yeah, it's boring, right? Unless you're playing like a pure good guy campaign where your paladin's good, everybody's good, then that's fine. Then you could be the chosen healer or whatever, like our buddy, the cleric from Orconomics, right? But there's actually an issue where one of the priests in where I live had been embezzling money from their church for like decades. And he had been, he wasn't doing it altruistically like Doran is, but basically
in real life,
yeah. He had, so they had a fundraiser every year that they would do, and it was a big fundraiser, and he would go around and collect money from local businesses to sponsor. And he was just skimming right off the top from that money because it was untraceable. And he got really sick, and they found out like this past year that he had been doing it all along. So I guess that was just stuck in my brain when I was thinking about like, all right, what am I going to do with this cleric character, And I put my own little spin on it, but that's where it came from.
I love that because it's the last thing that you expect when you think a cleric. You usually think a good person, right? Someone who is trying to do good, because that's why they have the divine power to heal and all their other stuff. And yet he's kind of doing it for a good reason, right? He's doing it to help it was the orphanage specifically.
Yeah. So for Doran, it's, he saw that the other clerics were using the money for their own purposes, like material gains. So it started off small where, he would take the money and he would, help feed the kids, and then eventually started growing and growing and growing, getting bigger, 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 and then he winds up sponsoring this orphanage, and everything's going great. He's helping all these children, and of course, anything that's going too well is going to come crashing and burning, and it just got traced back to him at the end. So,
on that note, I actually have a question about this orphanage too.
Sure.
What do you think is happening to it right now while you're adventuring?
So, Doran's fear is that they just cut it off, or that he's going to go back after doing all this and being blackmailed, that it's going to be gone, right? Like, they're like, oh, they told him that, he had to do this or there was going to be repercussions. And then as soon as he left, they were like, just knock it down. But the way I view it is like the church is holding this over his head, right? They're like, all right, well, if you want to take care of these kids and you don't want to be turned into a blasphemer, you have to follow what we're doing. So Doran's hoping everything's okay, but I guess we'll find out what Greg decides to torture me with in a month or so, probably. But,
Well, if you need anyone to steal all the gold from your church and give most of it to charity, you can count on Jen.
A small portion to charity.
Listen, finder's fee.
Here's a question from the audience for Ser Doran. If they were all skimming for their own personal spending, why would they care if he skimmed and used his share on the orphanage?
Yeah, it's kind of like the thing where, I mean, I'm sure Doran was taking more than whatever nice wine and some nice robes and stuff were, but it's always like the thing where it's like if the mafia, you all get your cut and that's it. That's all you can spend. If somebody's dipping a little bit more, especially the guy counting the money, then he's going to wind up with the fishes. So it's kind of the same thing, but I guess luckily for Doran, he had a little bit too much of a following for them to just cast him out outright and make him into a pariah, because that's even worse, right? To acknowledge that he's doing this and then throw him out is even worse than just trying to cover it up. So, oh yeah, skimming before the split for sure.
It's pretty bad.
I think that's what they said too, because they were like, oh, all these donations are all great, but then the one time they helped them count the money, they were like, this is twice as great as normal. What's going on? Did you do something special? So once they kind of caught on to it, they backtracked it to what was going on. Gosh, it's greedy priests. I don't know what to tell you. Those greedy clerics.
I know actually next to nothing, and I'm going to say next to nothing so I sound a little bit more intelligent than I actually am. I know nothing about the Church of Lathander, right? or Lathander as a deity. So clerics, they derive their magical abilities from their gods, right?
Yeah, so in D&D, the way 5th edition kind of works is all the casters kind of work the same way. They're not so specialized as they used to be in other editions. So Lathander is typically a good god. He's known as the Morning Lord, so he's kind of one of the few, I guess, good gods. But the thing is, there's always subsects, and the gods have these wars between each other, and depending on how much you follow D&D lore, the gods can be killed. A new god will take their place. Sometimes it's a mortal that gets, brought up to the rank of a god. Sometimes it's a lesser god moves in to take over. And then a lot of things happen with D&D as they change editions. So Lathander is a Forgotten Realms god. And before, the gods that everybody knew were the Greyhawk gods. So those were the ones that were the original D&D. They kind of changed everything 10 years ago, around when 4th edition came out, and they kind of moved to Forgotten Realms. So yeah, Lathander's kind of I don't know, he's kind of a safe god, and since I'm playing a life cleric, so I'm supposed to heal, not very combat oriented, he's a good one to go with. But yeah, so they have a ton of information on there, but Lathander actually got himself in trouble. He he helped lead a war against another god, and got his hand smacked for that. But yeah, he's a neutral good god too, so it's kind of falls into Doran's moral scope,
So really, you getting your hand slapped for doing something kind of questionable but good
Totally
was
aligned.
totally aligned with your god.
Totally aligned with Lathander.
Which
So
is
that's why
probably
Doran,
why.
Yeah. So that's why Doran's like one of the, I don't want to say chosen ones, but that's why he's, he still has his powers, because Lathander's like, yeah, I would do that. Sure. Why not? That's why I never really cared for like the lawful good characters in D&D, or the lawful, like a monk is good, or some knights are good if your lawful is based on your code, right? So you have a code, you adhere to your code. But if it's just, I have to follow the law, I can't do this, I can't do that, then that's not for me. I need to have a little bit of flexibility and how I achieve my objectives.
Now, one important question as your companion in this party, what sort of spells does Grak have to look forward to fight beside him and defend? Like, what kind of spells are you looking forward to most?
Sure. So, clerics can really cast some really great spells. Besides like mass healing and stuff like that, where you can just totally change a battlefield with your spells. There's just a lot of good stuff. They don't get everything that wizards get or sorcerers get, but you get Revivify, which is awesome, which lets us bring somebody back if they get knocked out. Dispel Magic, which I just got, super handy. You can dispel a ritual or dispel a spell cast on somebody. And then there's always there's all kinds of ridiculous high level stuff. Like you can cast you can regenerate people, you can basically cast anti-magic fields, can bring a angel down from heaven to help you fight. So there's all kinds of cool stuff that you get. You're not going to be a mage throwing fireballs and stuff like that, but you get a lot of really cool stuff.
All right, now
buffs.
one last question. The dispel. So I just discovered, I've been doing a little bit of research on Dungeons and Dragons gameplay to sort of be more effective. Now,
getting educated.
I know, learning, because basically I've realized that Grak hits things really well, and I'm trying to see if there's anything else that he can do, which he can't, right? That is sort of his deal. But
beat things.
So can Ser Doran use Dispel Magic as a reaction, which I believe is something that is triggered by another character's action? So let's say Ser Doran is second in the initiative lineup and the bad guy goes first, he's about to cast a spell. Can Ser Doran's reaction Dispel Magic and basically nullify the spell, or is that something else completely?
That's counterspell. So that a mage or a sorcerer would do counterspell usually, or a bard. But so say he casts whole person on Grak and Grak's stuck there, I can Dispel Magic and then you go on your merry tirade once it's your turn. So and so that's kind of how that works. So there's a lot of they kind of they clean things up a little bit in 5th edition, so it's pretty straightforward what you can do as a reaction, what you can't. It gets a little tricky once people start getting counterspell, because then you're like, I'm counterspelling. All right, I'm counterspelling his counterspell. All right, well, I'm counterspelling his counterspell for his counterspell.
That sounds like there's this Exploding Kittens game, this card game that I play with my boys.
Oh, I love Exploding Kittens.
It sounds like that. All right, so we are about to go into an ad break. Now, this is the first thing that we are going to test, right? So I had this idea to turn it into a game. I have no idea how Twitch manages the ad algorithm and what they're going to show you. So we are going to play a 60-second ad, and I want you to tell me the type of ad that's played and how relevant or irrelevant it is for you, from 1 to 10. 1 being it's super relevant, targeted to you, and 10 being absolutely irrelevant. All right. So we will be back in 60 seconds after this ad break.
I have to watch it, see what's going to happen.
I know.
Yeah, same.
Boop, 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 boop.
It's gonna be playing in the background. So, Tony, I don't know if you've got any more things that you want to talk about with Ser Doran. Those were sort of my questions for him. We can get into.
Oh, is the ad going right now?
Yeah.
It's not going on mine because I'm subbed, I guess.
Oh, yeah. Allegra, can you see it?
I do not. Nope, no ad on mine.
No, I can hear you talking to us in the background. So
Weird. Okay. Well, hey, this is part of the learning experience.
bonus
we are
ad.
we are figuring out how to make it work.
Nice. Thanks, Velociraptor.
Nice, thank you.
The one thing that I've noticed is that
I like it.
Oh yeah, Jim
Excellent.
got the 10 most irrelevant. Love that.
Trojan ecstasy, perfect.
No ad for Rebecca. Kelly, what was the relevancy of that ad? I want to know what, from a scale of 1 to 10, if 10 was super, super irrelevant, 1 being super relevant. I want to know that. Now, if this is a game that y'all want to play, keep score. Every time we play an ad, keep score of how relevant or irrelevant it is for you. So at the end, you're going to have, I think we're going to have to do like 2 or 3 ads throughout so that we control it. So keep score and see how relevant it is to you. And the person with the highest score with me, which means the most irrelevant ads, is going to win something. And
okay, but how do we deal with subscribers who don't see ads? We should have a mechanic for them too. Maybe roll a d10?
Okay, we'll figure something out.
We have some sweet emojis in there. I like that sword.
I know.
That's
I know.
badass.
That is amazing. Sir Sword, got to do that. Okay. now that we're back from ad break, we got a few more minutes, like another 20, 30 minutes or something without an ad break, so we got some time to have some fun. I want to dive into Jin. Now, when we first met Braum was an elven rogue, right? And then at some point in the game, he decided that he was going to be an arcane trickster, which gave him a few more bits of magic, which was cool. And now Jin is a changeling, but what is Jin's class?
So Jin is in fact an arcane trickster.
Okay, arcane trickster.
I really wanted to create a character who was primarily a rogue, but really was trying to use every single trick in the toolbox, including a bit of magic. She's a changeling, so she can change her face at will. So a lot of the things that rogues like struggle with, she can already just do. Great identity thief. So the magic really, I thought, gave a little bit of a twist to that, so it wasn't just straight rogue.
Okay. And now tell us a little bit about an arcane trickster versus a rogue. I mean, this is the first time that I've heard it in this game describing an arcane trickster. So I'm guessing the arcane means a little bit of magic with the other roguish things.
Absolutely. So the arcane trickster, normal rogues pretty much can't do magic, period. All of their skills and abilities are all very mundane. They're pickpocketing and sneaking and sneak attacking, which does great amount of damage. The arcane trickster loses some of those features. I can't recall exactly which ones, but what I gain is 4 cantrips pretty much right away and some level 1 spells by this point. So while I'm not as capable a spellcaster as Ser Doran or a dedicated spellcaster, I have the elements of a rogue that I really love, which is sneak attack and the ability to do things like uncanny dodge. But I also get to play around with spells, which was really fun when I was pretending to be Braum, because I could pretend to disguise myself, even though what I was actually doing was changing faces for real.
Okay, now we have a question from the audience that Jin is male. Now, in the beginning, when Jin was Braum, before Braum became Jin, right? A little confusing, but that's okay.
Jin Braumception right there.
So now elves could sort of be a little bit androgynous to the point where we can say, you know, it looked like a man. We assumed it was a man, but it was actually a female. And, you know, but then Braum, as we saw in the flashback, was a male, right?
Yes, Jin was pretending to be a dude. And is chill with it. She's a changeling. Gender identity has never been a big part of her experience. She very much takes on whatever form she's wearing, and it really is kind of fluid for her.
It's kind of what's required for the role, right?
Yes, exactly.
So it's not, it would be like non-binary, essentially.
Yes. Jin uses the pronouns of whoever she's pretending to be.
Currently she, her.
Currently she.
It's good. Inadvertent inclusivity. Yay us! Unplanned. You know, Rebecca, if you thought Braum was female when it was first being played by Greg, you know, I think the voice is because Greg is like, you know, New Yorker. There is nothing feminine about that accent at all. So
yeah, I think it was just the token was female, so everybody just assumed. But and we just busted on him for that. But
yeah, no.
Okay. So we are now in the next game. We're going to be upgrading to level 5, or what do you call it? It's not upgrading, is it?
Leveling up.
Leveling.
We are leveling up to level 5. I got to learn all the proper.
I kind of prefer upgrading, to be honest.
Right?
Just upgrade.
Yeah,
I love upgrading.
So Jin, what new tricks are you going to have that you want to share with us? I guess because Jin is very mysterious and secretive. Are there any new tricks that we can count on in battle?
Well, in battle, not much. Level 5 isn't a huge one for extra skills for me, but it's my sneak attack gets a whole extra die of damage. So my strategy up until now has been pretty straightforward. From now on, that extra die of damage is so much. So I'm going to be doing a lot of sneaking around the battle, hiding, and then coming out of the corner stabbing.
Very, very effective, I will say.
Yeah, it's fun. So if you see Jin sneaking off in the middle of a battle, I promise she's not abandoning you to the literal wolves. She is finding a vantage point, although she might be abandoning you to the wolves.
Maybe in the game you should explain that, because Grak is going to see you. He's going to see you sneaking off, and he's going to be sharpening his maul.
Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, I as the player am happy to explain that, but I don't know if Jin as a character would think to explain that a rogue has to hide to be effective. I think she kind of is used to working with rogues, and there's a little bit of can't get into beginner mindset and doesn't quite understand how literal Grak is.
Yeah. And this is actually something that I learned about as I was researching, is that dwarves are super duper lawful. Like, whether they're lawful good, neutral, or evil, they are lawful characters traditionally, right? So it would be fun to play a type of dwarf that, you know, totally goes against it and is full chaotic. But, you know, that's so
I think
far.
Unless you're like Quent in a battle rager, you know.
Exactly. Which I mean, you know, Grak is a berserker, so there is a great deal of unpredictability to his act. Well, not really. There's a lot of predictability in the sense that he's going to rage and go hit stuff, right? But it was interesting to see what that they were lawful. So it sort of explains how I should play Grak. Although, to be fair, Grak has so far been a very lawful character. You know, the fact that he was the one when he was stuck guarding B cubed with his fellow, you know, low ranked dwarves. He was the one who said, you know, this is our job, right? It was the right thing for them to do. So even though he didn't feel it was worth it, he was there for it. And then afterward, you know, protecting the people around him, all of that. So it was like, it's interesting how the character sort of evolved into the way that dwarves are normally played or typically played, which is kind of fun.
Yeah. It's fun that way. Like, when I took over from Greg playing Braum, I very much wanted to have a good in-game reason why I was taking over the character. So when I created Jin, it made a lot of sense that she was pretending to be Braum. And a huge part of that ended up with a very roguey rogue. Like, usually my rogues are a little bit less, like, obscenely roguey, and Jin is, you know, she changes faces, she steals from the party, she does everything like rogue memes are born of.
I feel like once we actually get her on our side, and you know, she'll be a lot more like Tasselhoff Burfoot from Dragonlance, in the sense that it's so innocent. I mean, that character right there is like the pinnacle for me of roguey type characters, where he's stealing from his companions, and number one, he has no idea he's doing it. Number two, it's so innocent in that he was protecting everything for them, because they found, you know, he found it lying around in their pack, in their, you know, tucked away, and he's protecting it.
Yeah, that's
One of
sort
my-
of like the hyper halfling, right? Like the hyper, like childish rogue that just steals everything from you, but not
Absolutely.
maliciously.
One of my first campaigns that I ever DM'd, I had our rogue, and our rogue was a master forger. And at one point, the players were collecting keys, and she decided to forge all the keys, swap them out, and she just sent me a note saying, "I've done this," and I had her roll, and she rolled a nat 20, so none of the party realized that all the keys were fake, and that the rogue had all the keys. Well, lo and behold, the bad guys come into camp and take all their stuff. And they're like, "Oh no, the keys are gone. We have to go storm the castle." And then I just turned to the rogue and I'm just like, "Thank you for nothing. Now I have no plot," because of course she had all the keys in her like trench coat.
Yeah.
Like a wandering salesperson. The rogues can disrupt a game. And I'm sorry for Greg.
All right, Andy, you have a couple questions. One, Kelly wants to know, how does it feel to be the only one who can actually fight enemies? And Drexel wants to know, would you consider adding a blunderbuss to your arsenal?
Okay, so I'll answer Kelly's first. You know what? Oftentimes it's a little bit, it actually brings me, Andy, a little bit of anxiety because I'm looking around, like, especially I think the jailbreak episode was probably the one where I was feeling like actually a surprising amount of anxiety because I was there, beating people to death with their own guard's corpse, right? Which was awesome. But then Greg was hiding in the background and Abelard was being useless. And Ser Doran, I think, Tony, you couldn't get your spiritual weapon to work or something. Like it just wasn't.
I was just missing, just terribly.
Yeah, right? So then I was like, okay, there's a lot of bad guys here. And, there's this thought in the back of my head that the dice could turn against us. Everybody on our side rolls a lot of nat 1s and everybody on their side rolls a lot of, nat 20s and crits and we die. And that would just be the worst way to end the campaign that was literally 2 episodes old. So it would be like, wow, we are terrible at campaigning because the characters that we created totally died in episode 2. That was really what was going through my head that entire episode. So I was super happy when I actually rolled that nat 20 and got, the guy on my meat fist and was beating him to death. That really was like the entertainment factor was awesome because I was able to do that. But I was like, yes, I'm fine. I'm keeping the party alive. And I think that's kind of going to be my role to varying degrees. And I think that's what like barbarians and berserkers they do. They're like the tanks in that they take a ton of damage and then they're also high damage per second builds that like right now. So Grak's 5th level ability is that he gets an extra attack. So automatically on every turn, I get 2 attacks. And then if I'm in a frenzy, right? Yeah, frenzy, I get a 3rd attack. And then if I kill somebody, I don't know if I get a 4th attack. I would like to say yes, but it might be not. But so as long as I can keep doing lots of high damage attacks, I should be okay. And to answer Drexel, Vernon, if there were blunderbusses around that I could get my hands on, Grak would be all over that because that is an awesome weapon. Entirely unpredictable, which I think could add a whole fun element to the game in the sense that, you point it, but it isn't necessarily going to shoot in that direction. There could be a bit more spray, and so it could lead to all kinds of fun. And for me right now, the way that I think it is like the more unpredictable and chaotic the game, the more entertaining it's going to be.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think we would need to get you a blunderbuss with an axe on it, so then after you shoot it, you can just hit people with it.
It's like the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. shotgun that the big guy wields. It would be like that, but with
definitely an axe gun
with the blunderbuss. Speaking of axes, so this is something that I wanted to ask you guys who are more experienced. Right now, Grak has been playing with a maul, right? It's this big, massive hammer, 2-handed hammer. But as I was researching, I found out that number 1, dwarves like axes, and number 2, axes have extra damage on the crit when you roll high.
A dwarven battle axe you're talking about, right?
Exactly. And then going back to the prequel episode where Grak has his axe, right? It's the last thing that he has of his his dwarven heritage. It makes sense that if he had a chance to get an axe, he would do it. So I was thinking, should I try to talk my mimic into changing into an axe?
As long as you don't get rid of the mimic. I mean, Jin is now personally attached to all of these mimicky weapons, and in Ser Doran's case, beautiful tabard, and we'll take it personally if you get rid of any of them.
So you can you actually talk to the mimics? I think it was Amda the human bard who talked to mimics, right? Or was that you?
Yeah. No, it was the bard, but Jin probably could make an argument for it, being a changeling herself.
Okay. Now we have to see if Greg's going to let that fly. I'll have to try to convince him on camera to see if he'll let me do that.
I don't see why the fraud mall wouldn't want a little change of pace. That's what you have to be like, we should try something different. Come on,
Don't you want to spill even more blood?
Yeah, let's spice it up.
Speaking of blood, Rebecca asked, asked for Jin, does this mean you're going to start doing more daggers in the back now? So the truth is, Jin isn't super cool with blood. Killing the real Braum was the first person she had ever killed, and she is feeling super, super, super out of her depth with all the hacking and slaying that's been going on. So she's been trying real hard to not kill anyone and just let Grak or Ser Doran finish them off, even if she does damage. And eventually she's going to have to start actually slaying people, and is probably going to have an existential crisis because she's not a thief, not an assassin.
Interesting. I like that idea. I feel like the Jin and Ser Doran characters are going to be more fun in an unpredictable way. Like if we ever do, or when we do the mission of Grak going back home to the Dwarven Kingdom, right? There's going to be plenty of angst about the heritage and the bastard son and the banished and all of that, right? That's going to be a pretty straightforward campaign. But I think it's going to be interesting because Ser Doran has this sort of a not an execution order over his head, but he's been kind of kicked out of the Church of Lathander. No,
yeah, I think it's just going to be a revolution when we get back. So we'll see how that goes. I'm sure they're going to do something to screw me over. We show up back in town, like the poor orphanages are burned down or something like that, or they'll go back on their word and denounce me while I'm in the northern lands as a heretic or something. And then it's just going to be, I don't picture Doran as the righteous fury type, but I mean, with our crew, why not go and ruin their day? I mean, come on, but we just spent all this time overthrowing an evil necromancer. What's overthrowing a sect of the church after that?
Grak's response to that. Grak's response to that is, "You bring the righteous lad, I'll bring the fury."
Yeah,
and I'll steal all the gold and jewels.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Jill just come out wearing a big pope hat with gold chains, goblets everywhere, and they're all
no. She's gonna come out looking like the Pope, wearing all their regalia.
This is a great comment. Being denounced as a heretic is great fun. And I cannot agree more. If we had to do an episode like that where the Church of Lathander is all right, you, Ser Doran, you are anathema. You are cast out, excommunicated, and there's a bounty on your head. I can just think of all the fun we could have trying to take down the Church of Lathander, or taking down whatever, corrupt bishop, archbishop. Yeah, that could be fun. I hope Greg is watching this, or he watches this later, so he gets some idea for campaigns, because
I would be heartbroken for sure, but then when it would just be on afterwards, it'd be great.
I also think that that it could make it almost more interesting, because it would sort of bring out the element of faith, which we are not a religious game by any sense of the word, Tony. I have no idea whether or how much religion factors into your life, but the idea, this is something that's come up a lot in the books that I write, is this belief system, in the sense of people having faith in something, whether it's faith in themselves, faith in the system, faith in their training, faith in a god. It's something that is interesting to explore their unique approach to it. So I would almost say it would be kind of fun to see how each of our personal belief systems, not anything religious, because we're playing a game, we're playing the Church of Lathander, we're playing whatever chaos deity Jin worships, and
Money.
there you go, whatever beer drinking goat shearing deity Grak worships. But I think it could be a really interesting thing in a way that just sort of slips into whatever story gets told.
Yeah, I think so. It's something fun to explore. And you get to see, like, I know sometimes books either have a hard time tackling it, but I think with D&D, you have this population that just understands that there's gods, right? There's like nobody in D&D that's like, there's no such thing as a god. There's gods. There's lots of them. They don't get along. The followers don't get along necessarily. So it's like, it's just a thing and you just deal with it. So it definitely is interesting and lets you play around a little bit with it. And then, you have the heretics, you have the cults, you have the long dead gods, you have the ones that want to be gods. So lots of room there for sure.
Yeah. Before we move on to something else, I wanted to mention something else to you guys that is new about Twitch. Now, Twitch, if you see at the bottom of your chat, there's these channel points, right? You'll see the number sort of going up. I think if you're following the channel, you start with 300 and it just sort of goes up. Now, the way it works is that as we are streaming, you'll keep getting more and more points. There's a way I think that I can give you guys points, but you'll automatically get some and you can redeem them for cool stuff. So at the lowest level, there's like, you want to type a message and you want it to be highlighted, it costs 100 points. But then if you scroll down a little bit more, 400, you can do a battle cry. And this is when we're in the middle of battle and you want one of us to shout something insane or ridiculous. So you redeem your 400 points. It costs nothing. It just accumulates over time. You redeem your 400 points, type in who you want to shout the message and what the message is to be. So last time Grak said, the beer is cold or something, or, there was some fun battle cries, right? So this is stuff that you can redeem, or there is suggest an attack or a power that you can use. That you can get us to use. So it's a way that you can directly influence the game or the combat. Or there's add a command where maybe we are in the middle of a super important negotiation and you totally want to fuck things up, or you think they are doing a terrible, terrible job. Let's tell them what to do. So you can redeem that. And every time you redeem these channel points, it will be an instruction for us. So it's a way that you have some control over the game as well. And then, of course, there is name a character or a weapon. And then there's this one, drop it, which I added, could be kind of fun, where the character's got something, they're about to swing, about to take an action, and you say, drop it. And so Grak is swinging his axe, ready to do all the damage, and then he fumbles it. And then I, or whoever it is, have to figure out how to keep playing. So it's a way that you guys can throw a little bit of chaos into the game. Could be a ton of fun. I can add more if you guys have any suggestions of things that you would like me to make for more gameplay, for more fun. Drop them into the chat, and I'll just keep making more of these things. I think we can have up to like 20 or something. So it's going to be great fun.
Sure, for sure.
Yeah, it's going to be great. I can't wait for the first time that someone makes me drop my bow when I have an existential crisis, because that bitey bow is like my heart and soul at this point.
They're gonna make you drop it like in the water.
No, don't even say that.
Yeah. You better put like a tether on it, like so that way when you drop it, you just pull it back up.
Yeah, I'm gonna like tie it to every single one of my limbs. These weapons, they're my kindred.
Yeah. Yeah, I was I like that my mimics, since mimics are sticky, that gives me advantage to grappling. So that gives it. Grappling is not the best offensive ability in this, but it's definitely handy, especially if I need to hold somebody down while Grak cracks in the head. Perfect.
don't know how comfortable I am with you being a priest who gives sticky hugs.
Well, I was thinking that maybe we should try to convince the Mimic to protect Abelard since he's always just running around half naked. And maybe that might work better, and then I'll just get like a regular suit of armor. But I'm just sure I'll get something cursed that's terrible and way worse than the non-matching plate armor. So, like, does a Mimic really count as plate? Like, you probably wouldn't get penalties for wearing a Mimic that's plate armor, right? I don't know.
As long as you feed it, right? Like, I think so. From what I understand, is feeding it is really the only way that you stop it from screwing us over, because if we don't feed it, then we are going to get eaten or we're going to get chewed on, right? And especially you, it's surrounding all of the really important bits that you don't want to be chewed on.
I feel like we won't have a problem feeding our Mimics because there's just plenty of things that want to kill us, apparently. So I think you're right.
Yeah, we could always feed it bits of the kid.
That is
does he need fingers?
Ugh. Yeah, I hope we don't get to the point where we have to like feed it parts of ourselves and then I have to regenerate us afterwards. I'm just morally opposed to that for a lot of different reasons.
If only we had some sort of creature in our company who could change shapes and somehow, turn into something. I don't know. There's got to be a way, like a salamander, where the tail falls off and they regrow another one. There's got to be some changeling ability that makes that work.
If only, but Jin is she doesn't like the sight of blood, and it just that.
Jin's already hyperventilating.
Yeah, far too altruistic.
Lego's hyperventilating. Nope.
Definitely sounds way too, party-minded for something Jin would do.
Absolutely.
Also that, for sure.
Jin was much more likely to just get Grak drunk and then just be like, hey, want to play with knives?
Yeah. What could possibly go wrong?
This is actually a pretty good idea from someone in the audience. A bag of holding full of blood, or instead of blood, like meat or something that we could basically feed to the Mimics. I mean, I don't know how expensive bags of holding are, but we might end up killing someone who has one. Just saying.
Yeah. It could happen.
We could use a bag of holding. Not that we have any loot, really. I think we're going to start getting some more loot.
What you want is to get a bottle of everlasting air, I think it's called, and a bag of holding. And then you just stuff the bottle into Abelard's mouth, stuff him in the bag of holding, close it up.
Perfect.
Anytime we, have a really bad soul coming through, just like, nope.
This comment, watch out for the bag of devouring. Someone was mentioning that they would carry a bag of devouring and they would use it to attack. They would just like slide it over their enemies' heads, and that was it. That was the end of the enemy. I mean, that is some genius role playing right there. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, there's like a thing. It's called like bag of tricks, and you can like throw a honey badger out of it.
Oh no! I had a character killed by her own party for a bag of tricks.
Yeah, so.
She kept throwing bags of trick items. She kept rolling nat ones, and at one point she threw an angry cat onto the face of our barbarian while we were in the big boss fight, and that was the end. That just we all died.
That's the only bag I think we're gonna get.
Yeah, that's like
and it's only gonna summon like squirrels and rabbits and skunks, stuff that's not gonna be very helpful.
Hey, a skunk could be helpful.
It's true, as long as you get it pointed in the right direction, right?
Exactly.
And, with those, I'm super curious to find out. So in the last episode, Greg introduced those beans of chaos. And I am excited because I know a little bit about Greg's mind, and he could make something absolutely insane. And we're going to end up fighting more, like whatever that bean produces, more than whatever monster we're making, or whatever we're fighting for the week. So I think it could be a ton of fun.
Yeah. If you guys don't think that Jin is stealing all of those beans the first chance she gets, you do not know Jin at all.
That's very, very true. All right, we are about to go into another ad break. They are about to impose another ad break on us. So we are taking 60 seconds. Again, pay attention to the ad, see how relevant, which is a 1, or irrelevant it is, and let us know in the comments afterwards so that we can keep this game rolling.
I kind of wish I got ads.
I know.
No.
It would be fun. I would love to see what kind of things that they think I would be interested in. You know, like they did a PlayStation ad for Vernon, who's actually watching on PlayStation. But if they tried to sell me anything on PlayStation, I'd be like, I'm Xbox bitches. I wouldn't because I'm an adult, but I would be thinking it.
Yeah, they my Google and Facebook ads are on point, so I'm sure Twitch would just steal that from Amazon and be fine. But yeah, the worst is when we'll Google something for work that's relatively inane, and it's like latex sheets or rubber sheets that we need for printing, and then I just get like GIMP suits advertised to me for like a month.
So Andy, I don't know if you have this, but when you're researching things for writing, and then all of your ads are like very specific to like very strange murder weapons and things.
Oh yeah.
I've gotten some very strange ads out of it.
Yeah. Oh man, it is so weird how my feed, like, because I do all kinds of research, right? There's so much in my stories that I don't know about, so I do a lot of research, and so the things that pop up, they're like so irrelevant to me because it's like a literal 1 second in one line or one phrase or sentence in the book that I wanted to research, and it was just like it has it's so irrelevant to me for the rest of my life.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah. Maybe the ad blocker is catching them. Interesting.
Yeah, it might be.
I'm gonna have to turn it off because now I want to see what's happening. All right, good.
I'm excited about getting into Grak.
Getting into Grak?
Getting into Grak, yeah, that sounds bad knowing Jin. That usually means, getting into Grak's backpack or cutting Grak open to see what his insides look like.
I mean, she has a list.
All right.
Not confirm or deny that any of those items are on it.
All right, so what do we want to dive into about Grak?
I want to know about Grak's relationship with Barbara Betsy Burpington III.
Well, and who is Barbara Betsy Burpington III? That had to come from somewhere.
But you know what?
Other than your love of alliteration.
Well, that's the thing is, so as a writer, they teach you never, ever alliterate, right?
But it's so much fun.
It is, when it's done right. And I was thinking about the episode of The Big Bang Theory where, he goes to talk to Stan Lee and he talks about, Peter Parker and Bruce Banner and all the people in Marvel Comics who have, thank you, Vernon Fing Fang Foom, right? Ridiculous names. So alliteration, it brings an element of humor and ridiculousness that as a writer writing a serious story, you don't want to bring in. And now as a writer coming up with something insane like a gold goat who has a weird name, right? It just felt like the perfect low-hanging fruit. And so Barbara Bessie Burpington III was just literally the name that popped off of my head, and I rolled with it. And then now that I could call her B cubed all the time was just awesome. But so the idea is that B cubed is sort of the golden goose, literally almost the golden goat, right? That so much of the Dwarven kingdom, their economy relies on it. Obviously, there is the mountain, producing ore, and there's smithies and forgeries and smelteries and all of that, and all the other stuff that dwarves produce. But if there's this unique thing about this particular Dwarven kingdom, and Grak somehow is responsible for destroying it, it adds an element of backstory that, all right, it could, it's what is it called? Conflict, controversy, tension, all of that. So that sort of was the idea that I came up with. And then when we fleshed out the backstory episodes a couple of episodes ago, it was just kind of random to think about it. And it was fun to sort of play into that. And that scene of him trying to defend the goat and then tying it into the Hill of Stars, which is his ultimate destination. That was inspired by Nicholas Eames and the Kings of the Wild, where throughout the entire book, one of the characters is looking for something, and it's not really relevant to the story at large. It's just this one character's little thing, and at the end, when it happens, it's just this moment of absolute happiness that actually made me laugh and smile because it was so much fun include that in the book. And so it was something that I absolutely wanted to write in because it was cool. Velociraptor, yes, you absolutely can make us yell things now.
We're gonna have internet threats now. When people are just yell this out.
So you have to say who is going to yell it out and what it is, right? If Jin gets into Grak, it will be as a squat, bearded dwarven woman with a flowing golden beard.
Oh man, I can't wait to watch Greg have to DM that.
Yeah, so I feel like in Grak's kingdom, all the pretty ladies are the ones with the red beards. The flax beards are the hill dwarves, and they're too weak.
No. I'm talking about the exact shade of B cubed.
A beard the color of Bessie Barbara Balpington III's gold yarn. Oh, that's the dream for every mountain dwarf. That would be pretty fun, and that would be super weird.
It would be super weird.
Yeah, spoon. I don't know who is supposed to spoon Rebecca, but it's that was already actually solved in the Stevie the Bryce Smolder episode where he tried to spoon Grak, and that was not appreciated.
Yeah, I always pictured Bryce Smolder to be a little taller than Stevie, but
Yeah, definitely taller than Stevie. So what else do we want to know about Grak?
I want to know about Grak's mother. We know he's the bastard son of the king, but who's bastard? Who's bastard?
Well, the king, right, is one of the two involved. And then I just sort of picture just sort of generic serving woman, serving at the feast. The kings had way too much dwarven ale, as kings are wont to do and dwarves are wont to do. And so that seemed like the best thing to do. Now, maybe when we get down to it, there will be some other thing that will be more entertaining or more tension inducing or add more conflict, where maybe the mother is someone else and maybe she wasn't a dwarf at all, or maybe she was a hill dwarf, and the inter-dwarven tension, I don't know. It's going to be fun.
From the comments, generic serving woman number 42.
Yeah.
She's 42. Not generic. She's not generic to Grak, but to the rest of the dwarven kingdom.
Now, from now on, Grak's mother's just will be Jenny.
Yes.
Jenny with a G.
Yes.
With a G. That's perfect. That is now canon.
Canon.
We have to remind it to Greg, and then we got to write in 42 somehow.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Captain EJ, as a thank you for that awesome comment, we will now somehow play. Oh, she was 42 years old when she had Grak.
That's it.
That's so young for a dwarf. Oh,
is it?
I don't know. Probably not. 42 is fine. For a king, why not?
Exactly. Last name Zwei Underwiesik. Wow, yeah. that is a complicated German name. Oh, nice. That is how you say 42 in German. That is not going to be a thing, unfortunately, Vernon. I'm pretty sure Greg is going to murder us if he has to say that name all the time. That's why I came up with B cubed, so that it would be easier for him to
see.
To
I think you should have made him say it every single time.
Anything to torment Greg.
And by the way, remember in the last episode, I think it was the last episode with the bard, where he was talking about the ritual, the druid, and all of that. Yeah. And I was so tempted to push him to say, so what is this 4-part ritual? And I have it confirmed. I chatted with him afterward, and he was like, oh, I absolutely did not have it prepared. So I would have had to bullshit my way through the whole thing. And I think that would have been so much fun. So in the future, when Greg is back on, don't tell him this, because we're going to be like pushing him to come up with stuff on the fly just to make his life miserable.
I mean, making your DM miserable is just D&D 101.
It's kind of a rite of passage, to be honest.
As a D&D,
yeah, you gotta.
I mean, as a dungeon master.
You got to grief your DM. I mean, what else are you going to do?
If you don't make your DM cry at least once, are you even playing?
Yeah, I mean, they have your character's life in their hands, and sometimes you just got to remind them that, you have your way of mental torture as well.
Yeah.
So that's all.
Their sanity is in your hands.
Yeah.
Though I'd have to say that Greg so far has proven himself to be a less sadistic DM than others I have heard about. So we'll see if he turns on us like that.
So that's the thing, right? When you're a DM, you have to remember you're there to make your players have a good time, right? So like when you're author, you're there you got a story to tell, you want your readers to enjoy it, but you still have your story to tell. Same thing with the DM. They have a story to tell, but at the end of the day, if the players aren't having fun, you're doing something wrong. And sometimes you have to punish them. You might have to drag them through the mud, threaten their lives, but then in the end, they should at least have a chance of winning. It's not just punish, unless your players are into that, and that's a different kind of campaign that we're running. But that's it. It's all, a good DM will go with the flow, let the players be creative, not railroad them. Like, if you come up with a good solution to a problem that's not necessarily what the DM thought, you got to roll with it, and that's what kind of makes our campaign fun, right? I'm sure that when we were having that fight on the docks, that he wasn't planning on us to go all WWE on them and just start beating people with the world championship belt, but that's what happened, and you just got to go with the flow. So,
yeah,
and that's how you keep everybody happy. And then the players will be more cooperative if you are listening to what they want to do and react to that instead of vice versa.
It is something.
I'm hearing. Sorry, go ahead.
No.
So what I'm hearing is seduce all the bad guys, kill all the good guys, steal their stuff.
Yes, lots.
That's Jin's approach to
lots
everything.
Of bardic seduction going on. I'm gonna roll the seduce everything.
That's pretty much the same thing that we do as authors too. Is we put our characters through absolute hell. If people who are watching, you've read some of my books, you know exactly how much I torment the characters. But at the end of the day, you want them to come out the other side stronger, better, and of course, winning that happy ending. And so I think that the dungeon masters, a good dungeon master is one who is going to put you through the ringer and make you work for it, whether it's the loot or the XP or whatever it is. But at the end of the day, the goal of the dungeon master is to get the players out the other side rather than trying to kill them. And I think that's one of the things that I've enjoyed about Greg's style of DMing is that he's there for the fun more than anything else. And even if it derails his plans a little bit, he'll go along with the fun and lean into the chaos way more, which is honestly so much fun.
Yeah, and Captain EJ has a good point. There's when you start a campaign, you should have a session 0, right? A session 0 is where you all get together. The players talk about what they want to play for a character concept, class. Make sure you have a good composition. You talk to the DM and you set expectations. What's this campaign going to be like? Is it going to be very serious? Is it going to be a good guy campaign? Is it a more gray campaign? Do you want creative results, or do you just want people to play the story and get through the story? Because when my players, when I DM, what they do is they'll text me before the either during the game or in between sessions. They say, hey, I want to do this. Is this cool? Or, hey, I really think this ability is cool. Can I take it? Or is that going to cause a conflict? Because everybody wants to have fun, right? And you don't want to ruin it by being either having too much fun and not enjoying the plot and then just going on tangents all the time. And that's it. The best thing you do is you have that session 0 and you just say, hey, this is what we're trying to do. You want to just have a good time? Do you want to get to level 20? Or do you expect to be level 6 and be done with your character and then move on to something else? And then that way everybody can just enjoy the game. You don't have those awkward moments of people in the party stealing everybody's gear and then selling it or trying to do...
Yeah, stealing everybody's gear, Jin.
I don't know what you're talking about. I gave it all back.
Jin is just hacking it. He's just,
Did you though?
Keeping it warm.
Yeah.
I don't remember you giving it all back. I remember you pulling it out and putting it as an offering of some sort, but I remember not getting back whatever it was.
Listen, I extended the due date that I was borrowing it for.
Okay.
Still belongs to you technically.
Did you mention that to us, or did you just do it in your mind?
It was a non-verbal sort of agreement. I kind of nodded at you guys. You maybe nodded back.
Yeah, there's a wink in there somewhere.
Somewhere, yeah.
Totally legit.
Unspoken. A super awesome piece of advice from Captain EJ. Advice for us players, which I'm actually going to take to heart, is if you have a crazy plan, just ask if you can do crazy plan rather than asking for details to try to trap the DM into letting your plan work. That's great, because oftentimes the DM does not have a plan and is just kind of making things up as he goes. So
yeah. And Velociraptor, yes, absolutely, you can make Jin keep the thing she's stolen. Jin would be delighted to keep the thing she's stolen.
Yeah, once you in next week's game, once you hit that, I think it's the 1,000 level thing, you can give Jin that command to keep things, and that will be, that'll be canon, and it'll be factored into our gameplay where she's like, no, these are my things now, and we'll have to figure it out. So it's something fun that you can do, Velociraptor, to directly affect it. So do it, make it happen.
Yeah. Make this little rogue so happy and such a good little kleptomaniac.
All right, we are once again coming up to an ad break, so we will be back in 60 seconds. Remember to keep the irrelevancy score for this ad, so and paste it at the end. Let us know what the ad is and how relevant or irrelevant it was to you. Here we go. Do you guys have your things off so you can see?
Oh yeah, where did I move my screen?
Yeah, no, I still don't see an ad.
I'm unfortunately fortunate and I don't get an ad.
Yeah.
So I get to keep the orb for this week.
I'm not sure if it carries over.
I think it lasts. Oh yeah, I don't know.
But the good news is that they'll just keep building up again through the live stream. So
yeah, I'm doing. Yeah, I got like 700 almost now. I'm collecting them.
Yeah, maybe we should up the ad count, because I mean the reward count, because if they have it too easy to get it. Oh, I know that subscribers, I believe they get the
more
orb points faster. Yeah.
Oh, maybe that's it. The Amazon Prime subscription coming through.
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, subs get a multiplier. I think it's time. I think they get twice as many. So if you're subscribed, you get twice as many points. Oh, so maybe I should definitely up those things.
Or you could not for the first episode and just see how crazy we get.
Oh man, poor Jim gets Cialis.
Cialis and condoms. I'm sensing a trend tonight.
Right now, Jim is winning with a cool 30 points. 3 ads, 10 irrelevancy score. That is like, that's starting the game off like a boss.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect.
That's awesome. All right. So now, do you guys in the chat have any questions that you want to ask us, the players, as the people who are bringing them to life? Drop them in the comments and we will get to them over the next few minutes of the chat. Do you guys have anything else that you want to discuss, ask, questions about, etc.? I mean, you two, Ser Doran and Jin.
Yeah. I'll let. Do you have something, Allegra?
I about where I want to be. I kind of want to discover a lot of things like in game as we go, because there are things that I'm finding out that Jin wants to talk about, but she doesn't know these things.
Yeah. I mean,
Ser Doran does need a hat. Actually, I agree with Drex.
I was actually trying to find my beard and skull cap to wear tonight, but I couldn't find it since we moved, and I was ripping apart my basement and my desk looking for it. So you almost got like a knit coif out of me, but a hat, eh? Like, should it be like a big like a
One-
Jarlaxle hat, like a big
One
hat with a
suggestion
feather.
is Pilgrim Hat Solomon Kane.
Pilgrim hat, yeah, with
But,
a big buckle.
That feels anachronistic. It feels like that's too future for the sort of era of Dungeons and Dragons.
I have an idea. I think all 3 characters should get hats, and then we should put all the hats in the pile, shuffle them around, and then give them back. So maybe Jin gets the big helmet with the horns. Grak gets a sun hat. You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah, we definitely check out. I think Andy just uploaded the first few episodes to Twitch, so they're all on there now. They're on
Captain
YouTube
EJ.
before and Facebook.
Yeah, all 7 of the episodes that we've done so far are available just right here on the on my Twitch channel, on our Twitch channel, so you can just go and watch them back to back. It's right now, I think it's like 11 hours worth of Dungeons and Dragons insanity. And I will tell you this, pay special attention to episode 1, which is when the doc fight and we have the insane WWE characters. Episode 4, which is when we get into a little bit of the backstory. And then episode 5, which is when we have Detective Dick Donovan, who has been probably those one-liners that he dropped into the street, that he dropped into his monologues, were just marvelous.
Yeah. So since you haven't seen them yet, basically we have a steady group of 3 players in the GM, and each week we have a guest player, and the guest player has their own character they're bringing that fits into the campaign, and we just have to deal with whatever this guest character is, and that's kind of part of the shtick. So, so far we've been blessed with some really good ones. So I think we'll have to keep a few. We'll have to keep that trend going, and the guest players is what makes it, right?
It really is. Every week it's just like boom, something new.
We got to guide them to the end of the episode, and then the next week it's all over again. Start all over again. So.
Yeah, and really for me, that is really the part that made me want to start this thing. Deranged and Questing was my brain cloud, and I wanted to play Dungeons and Dragons for so long, but I know that a game that's with just the same people can kind of not get boring, because you can sort of get to know each other and really learn each other's style of playing, which is really, really fun. I've loved learning how to play with Tony and with Allegra, and then of course Greg, sort of figuring out their way of doing it. But having this element of chaos into each week where literally it's a new player, and some of the players that we've gotten in have been spectacular. Rebecca, you brought to life the Tick. That was totally the last thing I was expecting. I was hoping to see Stevie Collier as you know, as some version of himself, but I loved the Tick. We've got some great players coming up next week. We were going to have Dave, the guy who played Nacho Man from the first episode. He was going to be here this week. He'll be with us next week playing who knows
something ridiculous, I see.
Yeah. And then discovering the awesome role playing that was Chance. Abelard is now officially my favorite character.
I know, he's great. He's just so adorable.
That was so funny. Oh no, you know, just the things that someone brings in when they're not really there to invest in the long haul, so they can kind of bring all their insanity in and drop it all. You know, leave it all there on the court, 110%.
Just like that.
Bedazzled reference for y'all. Honestly, for me, that is the part that I've loved most about playing this game, is just seeing the insane things that people can come up with. So having this rotating crew of players has been amazing. And then of course being able to come back and I have to give props to Greg. Last week he majorly upped his game with those 2 voice modulators, and I laughed so hard.
I've watched that episode like 3 times, and I just like fast forward until the voices start.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting the bullhorn. Yeah, no. Bullhorn got me.
Yeah. Someone mentioned something about loot. Oh, yeah. Yes, I'm sorry about that, Stephen. The auto mod held that. So we aren't looting any bodies, and that tears at your loot horse self. I will tell you
Me
this.
too, believe me.
We love loot, but more than anything, we are focused on making the game enjoyable, right? And the time it takes to actually figure out loot and stuff is just time that could let the show sag. So what I think we're going to start doing now is we are going to sort of have Greg, we're going to give Greg more work to do. We're going to have him sort of pre-roll all the loot. By the time we get to the end of the battle, he'll already have decided what it is, and then we'll be able to discover whatever nifty things is. So last week was the first time that we brought in loot, discovering that super cool staff and the chaos beans, which, it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, and you can kind of assume most of the loot we're going to get is going to be useful or part of the campaign in some way. It won't be, unless it's just him trolling us. We'll see what happens, but I will say this: Grak is the first looter. He picked up that ice giant's axe, which, let's be honest, I don't know if he can actually carry it. We haven't really mentioned it in the game or brought it into anything. We're going to see if Greg's going to do something useful with it. But right now, Grak, 4.5 feet tall, is carrying an ice giant's axe, which, how tall is an ice giant? Like 12 feet?
Very tall.
Very tall.
Right? So this axe is like taller than him. So he's like walking with the axe horizontal across his back like this, because it's the only way he can carry it without it dragging on the ground. So no one can stand within like 5 feet of him on either side because of this massive axe.
We'll just have to figure out how to repurpose it into a dwarven battle axe, like cut down the haft, and then it'll be good to go.
Oh, damn. The average ice giant is 20 feet.
Yeah,
so even if this was a one-handed axe, which it wasn't, it was
bigger than a pole arm. Yeah, it's gigantic.
So maybe Grak should just ditch that and figure out some other loot, because I kept that axe thinking, all right, ice giants, we're going to go fight ice giants, but if it's going to be a while until we get to the ice giants, I might not need it. So we'll see. Very good point. Kelly reminded us that we just found a piece of the staff. Now, we don't know how much of, how big of a piece this is. It could be 1 out of 100 pieces or 1 out of 2 pieces. So it's going to be kind of interesting to see what this staff is all about. This is one thing that Greg has behind the scenes that we don't know about. And it's kind of fun not having him here because we don't know anything. So we're just kind of spitballing and pretending like we know what we're talking about.
Yeah. I just kind of assume that Jin is looting everything.
Yeah.
Everything that she can carry.
Putting it all in her pocket. In all kinds of places.
She's like pickpocketing in reverse. All the heavy things she's putting in Ser Doran and Grak's packs.
Oh, and then I'll just notice it as Doran will just notice as he's walking. Like, man, I'm not as young as I used to be. I used to be able to walk. It was so much easier. Everything's so much heavier now. And they'll just start pulling out pots and pans and stuff out of there.
Vernon, that is genius. Turn the axe into a shield. So it's this massive. Well, Grak can't use a shield. He can't use a shield. Well, no, it would compromise his armor class.
Oh, okay.
So, but that is really cool. But Ser Doran could use it, no?
Sure.
Yeah.
So this is a great idea. Vernon, this is now going to be canon. Next time we go to a village of some sort, we're going to break the haft off and use it as the axe head as a shield. And so this is it's going to be like a two-bladed war axe. And it's basically, we're just going to put a strap on it and he's going to carry it around like it is.
I can't wait to shield slam somebody with that thing.
Oh man, and it's gonna have those sharp edges. Oh, and you can cast like heat metal, right?
Oh, yes.
Can you choose specific parts that you can heat, or is it the whole thing?
Usually you choose one item, but it's usually not good to do to yourself and try to hold it. Then I'd have to get a heat resistant glove or something for it, maybe.
Well, so I was thinking, it's got this
it's like butter.
It's got two edges, two blades that are sharp. So you're holding it around the middle, and if you can just heat up one of the edges, like the top edge, and shield slam someone with it, that, rarely has a shield decapitated someone and set them on fire at the same time. I feel like we're discovering parts of D&D that no one has ever discovered before, or already has, and we just don't know about it. Either way.
just horribly breaking the system. It'll be okay.
I really do think that would be fun. Oh, that's brilliant. He doesn't even need a strap. Well, he can't put his arm through the hole.
No, that kind of defeats the purpose of a shield.
So there's got to be some way for him to oh yes, exactly, wound and cauterize at the same time. All right, now we have to see if we can actually make this work. Tony, you're gonna have to research that heat metal spell to see if you can heat up just specific parts, because if you can just heat up like one blade or like the tip of it, you can make a kick-ass weapon.
I see murder in the near future. It'll be great.
There we go. We're finding ways to make Grak not the only one who kills people.
It's gonna be so heavy, though. So heavy.
Don't make Jin kill people. Pretty please.
You could just knock them out and then not actually kill them for us. That's fine too. Yeah,
there was some messages up above from Rebecca about like poisons and sleeping gas and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Jin has a like range where she accepts murder. Magical beasts she's willing to kill.
Serial killer by proxy.
She's totally willing to knock someone out and let Grak and Ser Doran kill them. It's just a splatter blood.
I think if you found weapons like that would like trip up the like what do they call those the three balls on a string?
Yes.
That you throw and it wraps around and like incapacitates them or gives them disadvantage, or you throw daggers at their limbs or something, their sword arms. Thank you, Jim. A bolo.
Bolo. That's what I thought it was.
That's it.
And yes, Kelly, Jin does get PTSD from killing real Brahm, and that is exactly where she gets her distaste of blood and killing. She really did not want to do a murder.
Absolutely. And Steven has the right idea that I think will work always. Just knock them out and let Grak decapitate them. While he's raging, his what is it called? Not the affiliation, or the lawful good, chaotic neutral. What's it called? Your belief system?
Alignment.
Alignment. Yeah. When you're raging, your alignment can't be changed. So he can execute people randomly while he's raging, and it definitely doesn't count as like chaotic evil or whatever.
This might be the thing that like actually endears Grak to Jen.
Executing.
Killing someone so she doesn't have to.
So instead of like taking the fish off the hook for Jin, you're just murdering people.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Rebecca pointed out that one of the reasons I love my bow is I can just be like, here's an incapacitated person. I'm going to set you down here. I'm going to walk away. I'm going to turn around. You do your thing, Bo.
Yeah,
be happy.
Just feed them to them all.
I like it. Very, very effective. Now, we need to talk about Ser Doran's armor. I feel like
we do.
I feel like that mimic is going to be a liability much, much sooner rather than later.
Why? What's wrong with some purple and green armor? I think it's totally peachy.
I mean, if we ever have to sneak, right? Or, I mean, if we go into like the dwarven tunnels and stuff, you will officially just shine on your own. You are that, clashing.
We get a cloak.
If we have to sneak, Ser Doran isn't going to be the problem. Grak is going to be the problem.
Actually, I think Grak has pretty decent dexterity. I think because it's used for his armor class. So he's got good dexterity, good strength, and good constitution. Like,
but does he have good stealth, which is a skill?
Oh, yeah, maybe, probably not.
My stealth is not negative. Doran's stealth is not negative, so he's got that going for him.
Okay, I don't think Grak has anything negative.
Yeah, Grak's just slightly better, so we'll be all right. So, but now maybe I don't know if you put like a cloak over all the armor, if the cloak just changes colors too, or like the mimic gets mad and
just eats its way through the cloaks.
Yeah,
so Ser Doran's gonna have a lot of cloaks that are just basically like the shoulder part, and that's it. The rest of it, the mimic ate its way through.
Just depends how cooperative it's trying to be, I guess. I don't know. We'll see. Plate wearers in general are not the most stealthy. So, I mean,
that's a fair point.
I think so. That's tough in the first place, but man, we'll just have to get Maybe Jin will get invisibility or something to help us out with that if it comes
Well,
to
I mean, the nice thing about Jin is that she can look however she wants. So all she has to do is see someone who belongs to the group that you're infiltrating, and she can just walk in the front door willy-nilly.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to work on convincing my mimic armor to be a little more cooperative and see what happens.
That's a suggestion. If you find a food it likes, it will turn a happy color.
Yeah.
That can be a side quest.
I'm so down for this. Culinary adventures in D&D.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I explained it last time. It's like a really obnoxious mood ring that's just like my armor. It's just always cranky. It's not happy. So yeah, maybe we just got to figure out like what it what's its peanut butter jelly? You know, that's what we need.
Well, here's the question. So it eats people and creatures. So like, does it prefer kidneys or livers? Like, I mean, obviously Jin isn't going to be part of any of this, but like, I feel like there could be some plot about, you know, the line between well-meaning party feeding its mimic and the necromancer we're fighting.
Yeah,
I like it. All right, we've got one more ad break, one last ad break that they're inflicting on us, and then we will be coming down the home stretch. So here we go. Remember, keep that score. Let's find out what they're sending you.
Oh, you know what? I didn't I think I reloaded my stream, actually.
It's going to be interesting. Watch Jim get another something like super random. He's going to be the first one with like a 40 out of 40.
Probably.
Which is awesome, honestly. I mean, that was the whole idea of coming up with a game like this, is just see how ridiculous it goes. Are you getting one too, Allegra?
I am not getting an ad.
Unfortunately.
Yes, no points for me. I mean, it's Jin gets all the loot, Allegra gets no points.
That's a fair point. Yeah, I don't see any of the ads either because I'm the one behind the scene. Oh, Rebecca has a great one.
I love meatballs.
He likes meatballs.
I'll share my meatballs with the mimic for sure.
I think she was referring to the meatballs, if you know.
Yeah, I think that was in fact.
I love those too. I mean, we'll figure it out.
Piece.
Fresh, hot and fresh, eh?
Yeah, you might want to take off the cod piece at night. Sorry about that, Jim. Like I said, I have no control over the ads. This is something that Twitch does. We are just sort of having to incorporate them into our feed. So hopefully you will enjoy, because you got a perfect 40 out of 40 for this one. You are going to win the first prize of incorporating some element into next week's game. So after this stream is done, I will message you directly and I will get you set up with your prize so that you can at least get some sort of benefit out of this. Kelly and Anita, rank the ads. Let's see what your final score is. I think this could be a lot of fun for us to do. I don't know.
Time game.
Steven, those of you with subs, what points do you get? I mean, aside from the fact that you get double channel points and you can like affect the game more directly, people who are subscribed. Yeah. So we have actually set up a special Deranged and Questing Discord, which, let's be honest, I'm probably not going to do a whole lot in because Discords make my head ache.
But I will be there all the time.
Allegra is basically going to be hanging out there around the clock. So she will actually, can you copy the link into the chat for people
Absolutely.
to get in on?
Get it here.
Yeah. And we will make sure to have the chat, the Discord link available. Subscribers get into the special VIP lounge, which is somehow way cooler than everything else. We're going to figure out what it is. Here's what it's going to be. We have some prequel episodes that were recorded before we went live. We did 4 episodes. Now, they were just us sort of figuring things out, so they weren't great in terms of entertainment value. There was a lot of, okay, so now what button do I click? Or, what can I do here? So we're going to re-record them and have them available later on. We're going to be working on that in the next couple of months. So the people who are subscribers in the VIP lounge and stuff, they will be the first ones to see those videos. They will be private, or privately published on YouTube that only people who get the link directly can see it. So there is that benefit, at least initially. But there's going to be all kinds of cool stuff going on in the VIP. This is where Allegra is going to figure all this kind of cool stuff out. So if you are already subscribed to the channel, Vernon and anybody else who's subscribed today, just get in there, send a message to Allegra and let her know. I know.
Send me a message. Let me know that you're a subscriber, and you'll get our very exciting VIP lounge, which currently has nothing in it, but will have soon.
Yeah.
Vernon, I am right there with you. Discord is my nightmare. There's way too many channels, way too much going on. So I thanks to Allegra, I figured out that I could mute. So I think I muted like 18 out of 20 of the channels that are in one of the Discord servers I was in, because it's just way too much going on. But that's something that you guys can do. You can come and hang out with us. We'll make sure to post there when we're going live. We are also going to be introducing more D&D related content over the next few weeks. We're going to be figuring out what kind of fun stuff we're going to be doing. Yes, Tony, that is also valid. You can continue to harass me on Facebook while I'm trying to write. Totally
That's
valid
my
way to do
preferred
things.
method.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
And
all writers really appreciate any chance to procrastinate.
Yeah,
exactly. Rebecca prefers to harass me everywhere, even in my emails. She's there in my nightmares. So we're gonna have more stuff coming up. We're gonna do some cool stuff about crafting an awesome adventure, which will be led by Allegra and myself as the authors. We'll have some Ask the DM, the Dungeon Master questions, which honestly is going to be the three of them talking, and I will try to ask some cool questions because I know nothing about being a Dungeon Master. We're gonna figure out all kinds of cool stuff. So we'll have some more content coming up on the channel consecutively over the next few weeks, probably the next few months. We'll start doing more and more. But again, Monday nights we will be here 6 p.m. Pacific time without fail, Mondays all the time. So come back and hang out.
Yes, join us on our adventure.
Yeah,
for sure. Oh, and remember, there is one more week in the giveaway. So the way the giveaway works is that you invite somebody to come and watch the stream, right, while we're live. And while there's going to be a couple of points in next week's episode where we're going to say, all right, if you've invited someone or if you have been invited, drop the name of whoever invited you and the super secret code word into the chat. And those people will be brought on, they'll be entered to win the prize. Velociraptor, your battle cry, keep it, remember it, and save it for next week. And we will incorporate it because Grak is always in need of good battle cries, and Jin is going to cry during the battle inevitably. So
yes,
save it, right? This isn't really a battle cry episode, but it's definitely save it and remind me, say, hey, you owe me one battle cry, and I will honor it because that's what we do here. Is there anything else I'm forgetting?
I think that's everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Okay. Oh, and if there is any sort of content related to Dungeons and Dragons, related to fantasy, game playing, whatever it is that you want, drop a comment, message us. You can follow us. My Twitch handle is right here. Haha, I got it right. Andy Peliquin, Ser Doran, point to yours. Figure out how to point to yours. Big T 983, love it. And of course, Jin the Rogue is
there.
Perfect.
I'm Author Allegra everywhere. You can find me. You can bug me.
There you go. And we actually officially have a Twitter now. It is called D and Q Show. D, capital D, the word and Q Show. So go follow us there. Start tweeting. We're going to start trying to tweet more stuff out there. You'll see. And of course, make sure to follow this and set the notification so that next Monday when we go live or anytime this week, if we add extra bonus content live, you will be notified of it and you can join in on the fun.
Sounds right.
All right.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for hanging out. See you next Monday night at 6 p.m. Pacific time for another epic adventure of Deranged and Questing, the Necromancer's Idiot Apprentice. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.